Hey everyone, I'm Teacher Rebecca with VIPKid, here to help you through the mock class. The mock class is probably the #1 stage that most new applicants get hung up on. It's the most performance oriented, it's the most time consuming, but the good news is that once you get here, you're officially in the no-fail zone, which means you can do your mock class over and over again until you pass. So it used to be where there were only a limited number of times you could try for your mock class before you just failed out of the system and you couldn't proceed into becoming an actual VIPKid teacher. But thankfully that has changed, and you can kind of think of this as free training for you. You're getting a chance to be in the actual classroom, getting used to the platform, learning where to call for help, how to clear your screen, how to drag and drop, how to draw lines, and you're doing this with an experienced VIPKid teacher called your mock class mentor. They're going to give you immediate feedback, things you did well, things you need to improve upon. So it's really not a bad thing if you have to do your mock class a few times. It's really good practice, and you don't want the first time you're in the actual classroom with a live student in front of you. So don't think of it as a bad thing if you have to do it a couple times. So what I'm going to do for you today is I'm actually going to go through the rubric that the mock class mentors use to evaluate you. I'll talk about each of the different steps and how to do well in each of those areas. And then at the very end, I'm going to give you a checklist of things for you to do ahead of time to prepare for your mock class. Very simple, tangible things that you can do. Because I know for me, if I have kind of a daunting, overwhelming task in front of me, I just want to shut down and not do anything. But if I have a step-by-step list, okay, I can do this one small thing, and then I can do this next small thing, and then before you know it, you have completed this overwhelming, daunting task, and you are on to the next stage. So I'm going to give you that checklist because for me personally, that has been helpful for me. Before I jump into this rubric, here is my referral code, REBEC0741. If you have not yet added a referral, you can add a referral at any time in the interview process up until you sign your contract. So please consider adding me as your hiring coach. I would be happy to help you through the stage. And even after you get hired with VIPKid, I will be there to help you through success in your VIPKid career. And if you are brand new to VIPKid, welcome. You have made a wonderful decision looking into this amazing company. The link to apply to VIPKid is in the description below this video. And if you go ahead and apply through there, then my referral code will automatically be in your application, and you will show up in my personal tracking system, and I will be there to help you through every stage of this process. So welcome again to VIPKid. Alright, so this rubric, I have it pulled up, so I apologize if you see my eyes kind of darting around the screen because I have it pulled up and I'm looking at it. But the first area, ESL Foundation, TPR, this stands for Total Physical Response. And this is really just a fancy way of saying body language. Make sure that you are being very physically active for everything that you are saying to the student, because they don't understand what you're saying. Doesn't matter if you speak slower or faster, they still don't understand what's your name mean. I mean, you can kind of think of it as if you were in their position and somebody's asking you what's your name in a totally different language, you're not going to know unless they give you some kind of physical cues to explain that. So, for example, what's your name? You know, hand to your ear means I'm listening for you. Putting your finger to your mouth means I want you to repeat. If I want to show an animal, an elephant, a cat, meow, little things like that. Just be very involved and active with your body as you're teaching new vocabulary, teaching new phrases, all of that good stuff. The next is level appropriate output. This is your speaking speed. And it really depends on what level student that you are teaching. So if you are taking the lower level mock classes, you will be speaking slowly. If you're doing the upper level mock classes, you can speak a little bit faster. Probably not as fast as I'm speaking right now, but just be aware of all those things. Next is attitude. Just keep a positive attitude. That's basically what it means. Smile a lot. Be very encouraging. Teaching props. You're going to want at least 4 different props for your mock class. And you want 4 different kinds of props. So like a whiteboard, a physical, prop to show. Sometimes I have a lot of 2D props, like a kite, 2D props because I'm not actually going to bring a big physical kite in my classroom. And also, especially for the upper level students, something that's really nice is pulling up pictures on my phone. Because we'll get into all different kinds of topics of conversation, and I don't have just like all these props all over the place, and so sometimes I'll pull up my phone and we'll do something on my phone together. So have a variety of different props. Like I said, have at least 4 different props ready to use in your mock class. Mastery of English is the next one. This is kind of self-explanatory. You as the teacher of English, you need to be speaking well. You need to be speaking with proper grammar, pronunciation, all that jazz. Positive correction. Try to steer clear of saying no a lot. So if a student makes a mistake or says the wrong thing, you can be like, nice try, or so close. Little things like that. Just keep it positive. Try not to use a lot of negative criticism. And repetition. I try to, when I'm teaching a new vocabulary word, say the word 3 different times. Have them repeat it back to me 3 different times. And I don't know why. For some reason, 3 just seems to be the magical number for helping students remember things. Full sentences. Make sure you are not only speaking in full sentences yourself, but encourage the student to speak in full sentences. So you're going to find this is very typical of most level 2 students, and your mock class mentor is probably going to do this for you too, but when you ask, what's your name? They're probably just going to say their name, not give an actual full sentence. Emily. Say, my name is Emily. And your mock class mentor is going to be checking. They're going to purposely be doing that kind of stuff to check to make sure that you're going to encourage full sentences. All right, so the next overarching area of the rubric is VIPKid techniques. The first is classroom management. Really, your classroom management is going to fall heavily on your reward system because it's difficult to discipline a child that's across the world literally from you through a computer screen. So use a reward system. If you have something physical, I usually like to put something physical up on the board so that they can keep track of their progress. It encourages them to participate, to stay on task, and if they don't participate, if they're not staying on task, then oh no, Billy's not doing a good job. He lost a toy. So those kind of things help motivate them to stay on track. But honestly, in the real life classroom, most of the younger kids have their parents with them, and their parents are on top of them for making sure that they're doing the right thing. I've never really had too much problem when it comes to discipline and behavioral issues in the classroom. Next is lesson planning. This is a self-explanatory. Prepare your lesson ahead of time. Next, efficient pacing and timing. I think for these mock classes, there's like 11 or 12 slides, and you have 10 minutes to teach those 11 or 12 slides. So you kind of want to budget roughly just under a minute per slide. I would practice ahead of time. I'd actually set up a timer on my phone and practice ahead of time to make sure that you're covering everything within that 10 minutes. Next is rapport. You're going to start off your class building rapport with your student. Your mock class mentor is going to want to hear you ask at least 3 different rapport building questions. For the younger levels, 3 basic ones that they should know ahead of time are what's your name, how old are you, and how are you. So start off like that, and if it's an older kid, you can ask things like, what did you do today? Did you go to school today? What city do you live in? Just make sure that you ask 3 different rapport building questions and keep that going, keep that rapport going through the lesson. Energy level. You want to keep your energy level consistent throughout the class. Have a lot of enthusiasm and encouragement for your student. Lesson objectives. You're going to want to review your lesson objectives ahead of time. There is usually a spot somewhere on your slide that is going to give teacher tips for you, and it's going to tell you what the objective is of the slide. So make sure you just review those ahead of time. Sometimes it's a target sentence or it's a vocabulary word or something, but just make sure you pay attention to those lesson objectives, because if you don't, your mock class mentor is going to call you out on it. If the lesson objective is they want the student to be able to say, I see a ball, and you don't cover that sentence at all throughout the lesson, you're going to get docked points. So make sure that you pay attention to what those are and kind of revolve your lesson planning around making sure that the student is meeting those objectives. All right, the next overarching area for the rubric, in the rubric, is teaching practices. Talk time. For lower level students, it's going to be about 50-50. So I'm going to be speaking 50% of the time, they're going to be speaking 50% of the time. For upper level students, you're going to be speaking even less. You want to encourage as much talk and speaking out of the student as much as possible. So usually it depends on the student, but anywhere from 80% the student, 20% teacher, maybe 70% student, 30% teacher, and these are for your upper levels. Level 2, it's going to be about 50-50. I say something, repeat that same something back. I ask a question, you give me a one-sentence answer for your lower levels. So the next is adapting to the student. This just means being flexible to the student. If you are watching walkthroughs on YouTube, which are totally fine, and I highly recommend doing that because they can be so helpful, but if you're literally repeating verbatim what exactly the walkthrough person does, and you're not being intuitive to how your student is acting or how your student is responding, that is not a good thing. So definitely practice with those walkthroughs and take a lot of those tips, but also just pay attention. Is your student getting this? Do you need to slow down more? Do you need to speed up more? Like, are they super smart and you don't need to go as slow as you're going? So adapt in that sense. And also adapt to your student based on things that they like. Like, if I see a student that has a shirt with Elsa on it, I'm probably going to say something, and that falls in line with building rapport too. All right, the next area is patience. Don't just blurt out the answer for your student. Give them time to figure it out for themselves. Give them hints. Don't just say it for them. So your mock class mentor is going to want to see how you can respond to helping the student become independent with their answers. Transcending. Transcending is just extra practice on top of what the slide has. So if the slide is teaching the word ball, I'm going to pull out a bunch of different balls. Maybe we'll talk about a basketball or soccer ball or baseball. Just transcend above and beyond what's just on the slide, because all of that practice is just helping solidify this information in their heads even more. Next is extending. And this kind of goes hand in hand with adapting to the student. If they are breezing through the material and they're getting it really quickly, you're going to want to extend. Go above and beyond the material. So for example, if I'm teaching the word ball, and they're like, yeah, I know what a ball is. Yeah, I see a ball. Yeah, I get it. Bring out a few different other types of balls. Basketball, baseball. Do you like to play with a ball? What ball is your favorite? Who do you play ball with? Different questions like that. Go above and beyond where the student is at if they are just breezing through the material. The last area is professionalism, and this is kind of self-explanatory. Presentable, look nice, wear a nice shirt. You don't have to wear the typical orange t-shirt. I honestly rarely wear orange when I'm teaching, but you want to look nice. So guys, I'd recommend wearing a polo. Ladies, just wear something nice. Make sure your hair is brushed. Put on some makeup, just look nice. Next is technology. Technology is your visual, your audio, your microphone, making sure that you have a fast internet speed. Take care of all that stuff before you start your mock class. Next is your background. Have some kind of educational background. As you can see, I don't have anything fancy. Some simple ideas are just print out a map, get some letters. You don't have to go above and beyond. And I always tell new teachers when they're in the interview process to not spend a lot of money before you actually get hired. Try to be creative, find stuff around your house to make your own educational background. You don't have to buy gobs and gobs of stuff before you actually even get hired for the job. Distance, that's self-explanatory. Just make sure that you are in the camera frame and you look good and you're not really far away or really close up. And the last one is lighting. When I first did my mock class, I just had like an overhead lamp and they called me out on it. They were like, I can't see you, you're too dark. And so I had to get an extra light. So I would assume that your overhead light is probably not bright enough. I would get an extra lamp on your desk and just brighten yourself up. So for example, if I turn this off, like already you can kind of see like how much darker that is. We'll turn it on, and everything's a little bit brighter. All nice and cheery. So make sure that you have extra lighting. And now I'm going to give you my checklist of stuff. Alright, so these are already all things that we have already talked about. First is your background. So the number one thing I would do is get a background together. Don't think about all the other stuff, and don't think about how bad you are with TPR. Don't think about that. Just get your background together, okay? Like I said, simple stuff. Some letters are nice. Maybe print out a map. Get Dino involved. Just keep it simple. Next, lighting. I've already talked about lighting. Get an extra lamp on your desk. I would test out your camera and just make sure that you're really bright and everybody can see you well. Check. Next area on the checklist is tech stuff. Microphone, speakers, camera, internet speed. Test all of these things ahead of time. I think you can get into your mock class 30 minutes before your actual class starts. It might even be longer than that ahead of time. But either way, go in as early as possible. Test everything out. Make sure it's working well. And I would even do it before 30 minutes before your mock class. I would test it out on some other program that you have on your computer just to make sure that, yes, my microphone is in fact working, and yes, I can hear, and yes, my camera is working. You can go on the Internet Speed website and check your internet speed and all that good stuff. Next is camera angles. I already talked about this. Just make sure that you're in the frame and you're looking good. You want your background to be clearly visible. After you get all that stuff done, check, 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 check. We're on to pick out a nice shirt. So guys, polo, girls, nice shirt. I've already said all this. Pick out a nice shirt. Make sure your hair is brushed, your hair looks nice. All very, very simple things to do. Gather your props together. So review the lesson, know which props you're going to use, gather them together and make sure that they're set up in the order you want to grab them. Little things like that are going to make your class go so much smoother. Next, find a physical reward system. There are reward systems built into the slides, like just digital interactive ones where they can like drag and drop. I think that having a physical reward system is so much better. I think the students respond to it a lot better, and I think your mock class mentors, honestly, are going to be wanting to see a physical reward system. So, like I said, I usually like put something on my whiteboard so that they can see it, they can track their progress. So have something physical that they can see during the lesson, they can track their progress. Next is practice your TPR. So just get used to some hand movements. What's your name? I like scratch my head when I'm trying to like figure something out, or I like want them to figure something out. Like, where is the ball? Ball? You know, when I want them to circle a ball. Practice your TPR as you're going through the lesson. And the last one is practice the whole lesson a few times. And practice it with a timer. You can use a timer on your phone, or I'm sure your computer has a timer, but practice it with a timer, and then you'll get used to seeing if you're finishing the lesson too quickly, or maybe you're going way late, and then you'll know maybe areas that you need to speed up your lesson, or maybe areas you need to slow down and extend a little bit more. So practice a couple times before your mock class. And that's pretty much it, folks. That's your checklist. And do one little area at a time. Check them off. It's not that overwhelming when you break things down into smaller tasks that you can manage. So the last thing I wanted to share with you before I log off here is that there are actual live online coaching sessions for you specifically going through the mock class stage. There are a 2-hour interactive seminar with a VIPKid staff member. You'll get some live one-on-one practice. You'll have any questions or concerns answered for you. And I've actually talked to mock class mentors, and they say they can always tell who has taken these and who has not. And most of the teachers that take these online seminars pass their mock class. So if you have tried doing your mock class a couple times and you're still not passing, this might be a good option for you to sign up for. It's totally free, doesn't cost you anything. You do need to RSVP and schedule a date, but I would highly recommend doing that if you have struggled passing through your mock class. Or even if you're brand new and you want to pass the first time on your mock class, you don't want to waste time, go ahead and look into this. I'm going to put the link to these online coaching sessions in the description below this video. There's one for the lower levels and one for the upper levels. So whichever one that you're looking into, go ahead and RSVP for that. All right, teachers, I hope this has been helpful for you. Now, I actually do have walkthroughs for each of the mock classes. There's 2 lessons for the lower levels and 2 lessons for the upper levels. I'm going to have them up here. This first one is lesson A, so that's the first lesson for your lower level. The next one popping up right here is for lesson B for the lower level. Next, I have the lesson A for the upper levels right up here. And then I have lesson B for the upper levels popping up right here. So hopefully I got the timing right for all that. And I also have the links to all those walkthrough videos in the description below this video. So whichever one you're looking for, whichever one you're trying to prep and train for, go ahead and find it. Like I said, I highly recommend doing that. Make sure that you're not copying verbatim, just have your own teaching style implemented. But they helped me pass my mock class, and I'm sure that they will help you. So go ahead and watch those, practice with those online YouTube videos. And that is officially it. If you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to ask me. All right, bye teachers.